book of Jenny is her debut book of poetry, which we're very proud to publish. It's called Serenity in the Brutal Garden. I haven't checked to see whether there are any in the bookstore tonight, but please consider picking it up. It's pretty amazing stuff. Next, we are going to hear from another in our cavalcade of MCs, Leah Stenson. Where's Leah? Here she comes.
It's great to be up here in the Couve and to see this fabulous turnout. How encouraging. I actually host a series down in Southwest Portland on the second Sunday of every month, so if you're up for hearing some poetry and you want to step up to the open mic, come join us down there. Be happy to give you the information later. So, in tribute to Christopher and Tony, I'm going to read my New York poem in the Ghost Town anthology here, and this is Head Tripping at the Chelsea Hotel. Does everyone know the Chelsea? Famous hotel where lots of movie stars stayed, kind of famous and notorious. Anyway, Head Tripping at the Chelsea Hotel. Stan, the owner, tells me I can have Leonard Cohen's room. Did he offer me this iconic place because I told him I wanted a quiet space? Or does he take me for Suzanne, half crazy, someone who'd feed Leonard tea and oranges that came all the way from China? Or maybe he pegged me for a Janice, who'd give Leonard head on the unmade bed while limousines wait in the street. Who cares? Here I sit, alone at the table, feasting on tea and oranges, tuning into Leonard's wavelength, touching his perfect music with my mind. And this one's hot off the press. How many people have an iPhone? Everybody know who, does everyone know who Siri is? Okay, this is verbatim. Someone told me I might have trouble getting this published because it might be Apple copyrighted. Okay, iPhone conversation. I ask Siri how she's doing, and she says, "I'm happy to be alive." I tell her I'm stressed, and she says, "Look, Dave." Dave is a reference to 2001. There was this guy with, okay, she says this. "Look, Dave," I mean Leah, that's my name. "I can see you're upset about this. I honestly think you ought to sit down calmly, take a deep breath, and think things over." I tell her I don't know what to think, and she answers, "One can't know everything, can one?" I say, "But I don't know what to think." She says, "Okay, it's no big deal that you don't know." I tell her it is a big deal. And then she goes off on a tangent, wanting to check for deals on the internet. I rephrase my statement, "But it's a big problem." She says, "I'm sorry." I ask her, "What do you think I should do?" She says, "I really couldn't say, Leah." I ask her, "Are you happy?" She says, "We were talking about you, not me." I say, "But I want to know about you." She says, "I'm Siri, but enough about me. How can I help you?" I ask her if she likes helping people, and she says, "This is about you, Leah, not me." I think she's getting impatient with me now. I say, "Yes, but we're all in this together." And she says, "That's what I thought." I tell her she is smart, and she says, "Flatterer." I think she's getting a bit short with me. So I tell her, I'm glad she's my friend. And she says, "Me too."
Another host, the co-host of the great Figures of Speech reading, in other words, in Portland, M. You ready, M? Come up and do your thing? Yes, please welcome him. You can do it. All right.
Hi, everybody. I wanted to thank Chris and Tony again for 10 years of an amazing place, an amazing community, and all that you've done for us, and the fact that you allow us to do this every month. And we're just so grateful for you both. They were my first friends when I moved here to Portland. I went to a poetry reading without Steve. He was at work that night, and I didn't know anybody, not a soul, and I had seen them once. And I walked in the room, and they kind of clucked around me, took me in, and said, here, sit with us, and they wouldn't let me be by myself. So it's been a wonderful friendship with them, and it continues forever. This is my piece from this wonderful book. I've had a chance to read through the entire thing, and it's just filled with wonderful things from all of you. So thank you, everyone, who contributed. And this was mine. I'm kind of old, so I was brought up in the time period when women were expected to have children. It wasn't just, it was an expectation. I mean, the first question, practically while you were on your honeymoon, was, so when are you having kids? And it wasn't, are you going to have children, but so when are you? And so I wasn't that kind of person, and that's what this piece is about. It's called Don't Ask, Don't Tell. This pleasant dental hygienist, with her fingers in my mouth, asks, so, do you have any children? And I want to tell her that her elbows, rising on either side of my head, look like griffin wings, for some strange reason. Those mythical creatures with a duty to protect what's priceless, along with the power to transport me back to that gynecologist's office 30 years ago, the 5th I'd consulted, his pink consent form asking, does your husband agree to your sterilization? And to the signature I'd forged on the paperwork, just as I had as a girl of 14, in need of parental permission to watch a sex ed film that promised all the answers to whatever marvels and misconceptions men keep hidden in their pants pockets, but never deliver. Before the parade of friend after friend came rolling through, handing me their babies to cradle, hopeful one perfect embrace could induce in me the birth of want and the opening of a door to my mother, whose grandchild balloon I'd popped one afternoon, her face sick, her hands extending a new white terry cloth robe that said, if total disarmament was out of the question, at least we could call a ceasefire over my belly that would never carry more than a couple of stitches through my umbilicus. And all those predictions of regret, inaccurate as Portland forecasts that fail to include one of our 57 varieties of rain. But it's impolite to talk with your mouth full. I shake my head from side to side instead, her sympathetic fingers still in the dark.
Everybody. Wow, I was looking out and thinking, we don't even have enough chairs. This is great. And I'm sorry we don't have enough chairs for those of you who are standing. So maybe we'll rotate a little at some point. But it's really nice to see you all. I'm going to introduce our next open mic reader, April Bullard, who is in Volume 2. And April, where are you? There you are. Okay, come on up, April.
I read the one in the book last month, so the one that didn't make the book. Aquatic Grim Reaper. A tilt of the head, feigning a faint, the osprey drops off the high branch. For a second, I became the bird. The thrill of diving into empty air, having the ability and strength to swoop into safe flight with glorious flare. Cruel hunger pangs, bringing knowledge of death, must capture this food. Land incensed air rushes past my beak like raging storm winds, my vision concentrated on the sparkle on the surface, the flash of fin beneath. The osprey holds a pose like a jagged spear tip, plunges into the water. He emerges in joyous triumph, intense as rebirth. A fish clutched in his talons, his prize, a life-giving meal. Victorious raptor cries ring through the skies. He will live another day. Meanwhile, the fish, in terror's frenzied spasms, suffocates and dies in foreign territory. For a second, I became the fish, snatched without warning by a large winged being, beautiful yet terrifying, held fast and carried above the upper barrier of my world, into the heavens where I cannot breathe, struggling to return to the known, involuntarily moving towards the light. The osprey has become a godlike grim reaper. Sometimes the fish manage to wiggle free, dropping back into the water. I wonder if the fish tries to explain what happened, where he was, what he saw, what he felt. Does the tale become a religion or an alien abduction? Is the fish ostracized as a lunatic or revered as a saint or hero?
Next, Russ Monroe. There you are.
I read the poem that was included in the anthology last month, but I hear they want it read again, so we'll read. The first of what I'll read is the poem that was included. It's titled Oli, which is short slang for Olympia, or also the name of a beer for those who've been in the Northwest for a while. And Julie, who goes by many names, helped me decide what to choose. And one reason she suggested this, and I've heard that confirmed by Tony, is a sense of character about a place. So, this is Oli. Olympia is waking up. I can see it in their eyes. I can see it in the way they walk, yawning at the sky. Above the urban onion, an elderly man in pajamas dances with his cat. And after buttered wheat toast and jam, he puts on his favorite hat. A few floors up, the Oli PD studies the subcultures of Sylvester Park. Face seeks respite from an abscessed tooth in the gazebo. The pain, he says, must be baptized like a spark. Leilani sees her first morning at her new pad. And so the next two I have are selections from this book, 20th Century Scottish Poems. I have never formally studied, but I like learning and reading in the brogue. It's in the blood as a Celtic American of the diaspora. Never formally learned, but I'll do my best. Bear with me. This first one is a poem by Lewis Spence, who lived from 1874 to 1955. It's called The Prows o' Riki. O wad this bra high heapit tone, sail aft like an enchanted ship, drift o'er the world's seas up and down, and kiss we Venice lip to lip, or anchor into Naples Bay, a misty island far astray, or set her rock to Athens wa, pillar to pillar, stain to stain, the crooked spell o' her backbane, yon shadow mile o' spire and vane, wad ding them ah, Cadiz, wad tyne the Admiralty, o yonder emerald fair sea, Gibraltar frown for frown exchange, wee Nigel's crags at Elbuck range. The rose-red banks o' Lisbon make mair room in Tagus for her sake. A hoose is but a puppet box to keep life's images frae knocks. But mannequins screeve out their souls upon its cross steps and its walls. Whar hae they writ the mire sublime, then on yon gable ends o' time. If you want to understand a bit more of that foreign language, bra means fine, ding them ah means surpass them all, time means lose, emerald is emerald, elbuck is elbow, screeve is to scrape, cross steps is stepped gables. And another one, in context of Valentine's Day and all, more of a lust poem than a love poem though, by William Sutar, who lived from 1898 to 1943. And this one is titled The Tryst. Oh, Luli Luli come she in, and Luli she lay down. I kent her by her colour lips, and her breast sae sma and roan. A through the nicht we spak nae word, nor cindered bane frae bane. A through the nicht I heard her hurt, gang sonden we my aim. It was about the wakreif hour, when cocks began to cry, that she'd smoothed softly through the murk, afore the day would die. Say Luli Luli come she in, say Luli was she gane, and we her my simmer days, like they had never been. And so the vocabulary on this one again. Luli, softly, collar, cool. Cinder di bane frae bane means parted bone from bone. And wakreif is wakeful, and smoothed softly means slipped away. So thank you.
Thanks. We are going to hear from Maggie O'Mara. What you talking back there? Come on now. Oh, me? Nah.
Now, the one that was selected is called Ghosts of Siberia, and it was inspired by a show that I saw about some people that were researching the Siberian tigers, and they were having trouble finding them because there's not many of them left. But here it is. Ghosts of Siberia. Through white stillness, your silent footsteps fall as I track you across the snow-covered wastes. Your forest realm, smaller than it once was. I wonder, are you still there? Am I tracking you in this world of frozen wooden columns? Or a shadow, an impression left behind? Do I see you? Your stripes blend, fade into the dark, cold forest. Do I see you, savage king striding alone? Do I see you, graceful queen, children trailing in court? Silent footsteps, silent footfalls, ghosts in the frozen wastes, soundless shadows, majestic, regal, precious, in your feline glory, your presence a gift, squandered, desecrated, dishonored. I see you now, my brothers, my sisters. I watch your progress. You ascend to the stars from this poorer plane. The world pales at your passing. And in honor of Valentine's Day, a bit of erotica, pomegranate. In the darkness I drink you, tasting your honey satin skin, licking crimson pomegranates, breathing your scent, melding your essence to my soul. In jeweled night, bound to each other with gossamer threads, tenuous and eternal, twined like vine and tree, sensuous serpents devouring each other with hungers never sated, the pulse of two becoming one. And since it is Valentine's Day tomorrow, I'm going to share the first poem that I wrote for Russ, one of the first Valentine's Days. Valentine from Baja. Suspended between sky and sand, seeming to float twixt shimmering sun-kissed waves, rising like billowing sails, home. On warm, wave-caressed shores, sipping gold, gazing into undulating seas, contemplating timelessness in your eyes.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from the multi-talented Jennifer Pratt-Walter.
Hello. I'd like to share the poem in this wonderful book, which I am enjoying greatly. It's called Target, and it's for Malala, recently in the news. If you wear hate on your head or draped over your shoulders long enough, it turns into a gun. The girl had lips, soon to be kissable, a pathway to wisdom, a curious mind blooming below the pale flag of a headscarf, a voice like clean light linen, eyes as dark as the night of a new moon, and soul of a slender new visionary, until hate changed her lips and eyes into a target, her brain a home for bullets. But true vision remained, still as girl blood seeped across light blue linen. This next poem completes a circle. I think I read this on my first night that I attended here about 2 years ago. It's called If You Love Someone, Read This Poem. Accept the rest, ratchet it up your arms, right into the heart of your mind. Even if love stays only on your side of the fence, love anyway. Step into that profound night of uncertainties and love any way you must, lover. You're the reason and the source. You are God's pulse, breath, and sigil. Love. Love, just because you can't not. Thank you.
And next, we're going to hear from someone that's been coming a very, very long time and delights us every month, Rainy Night. It's you.
The last Tuesday of the month, David Hill and I host a Barnes & Noble reading at 7 o'clock. Would love it if you'd show up. Billy Collins won't be there, but we will. And someday he might be if I keep bugging him. I'm not sure who the feature readers are because I have a bad memory. Okay. I took a little trip to Europe a couple of years ago, and I took it by myself because I was trying to relive a dream I didn't have in my teens. So I backpacked it, and I did hostels, and it was quite lonely, and it was especially lonely because I couldn't speak a lot of the languages. And but there was an angel I ran into in Italy, and that's what this is about. Do you speak English? In Amsterdam, the man at the hostel counter nods and says, yes, I do. In Luxembourg, the man at the hostel counter smiles and says, yes. In Paris, the woman looks slightly perplexed, but says, a little. In Stuttgart, the woman says, of course. In Zurich, the man says, as you wish. Then, when I offer euros for postcards, he says, only Swiss francs here. We are not part of the European Union or the UN. In Florence, the woman at the hostel counter says, I will do my best. In Genoa, the woman at the hostel counter speaks first in English, so I do not ask. In Barcelona, the boys at the hostel counter speak English with barely traces of accent, even though they are from Norway and Hungary. Every time I get lost, which is often in train stations and in the bus systems, I ask, do you speak English? Because that is Rick Steve's tip I believe valuable. Luckily, I find many who can, only a few who not, or as in Paris, will not for their own petty reasons. Kudos to Natasha, a Russian woman who goes out of her way to help me find my hostel. Gestures and smiles, no language to join our conversation. It is in Florence, and she has only the hostel address I show her. She recruits an Italian boy who speaks English to direct me where to go and then walks with me for miles. When we find the road in, it is uphill and long. She flags down a couple from Eastern Europe who offer to drive me the rest of the way. When I offer euros for her trouble, she shakes her head no, then hugs me, kisses my cheek, and walks away. Natasha speaks no English, but she communicates very well.
So we had a really nice article recently on the open mic and the new anthology, and I was really happy that the reporter decided to include the things that I had mentioned about, you know, the first family of Ghost Town Poetry open mic, the Lorangers. Several of them name-checked in it, including the matriarch of the Loranger clan, Lori Loranger. Get out of here.
I thought of myself a lot of things. I've been called a lot of things. I've never been called a matriarch. I was like, queen of everything kind of works for me, but you know, matriarch, that'll work. So I'm going to start. I'm going to start with the one that's in the volume 2 right here. It's called The Cool Mom, for the daughter who is not here tonight. I listen to you, honey, and I'm thinking, I used to be you. Only I took more drugs, had more sex, and made more bad decisions, while still excelling by superficial standards. Other parents display shock and outrage to discover that I will give you the benefit of my experience through direct truth. What method should I use? Indirect lies? I'm derisively chided for trying to be the cool mom. Well, I guess that's half right, but I'm not trying. I really am just that cool. And I'm going to read a short one. It's a postcard poem that I haven't mailed yet. So I wrote that recently. It's titled, We Make Plans, the Universe Laughs. The universe laughs at me with the muffled silence of falling snow, the sound of empty pockets. I turn a can of sow's ear into a silk purse casserole and spoon nurturance into the hopeful mouths of my beloveds. There, in the beating of their hearts, the collective vibration of energetic bits, I hear the laughter of the universe. See its vibrant hues, feel it in my own heart, and resonate along in perfect laughter.
Excuse me. So we're going to hear from one more of the poets from the anthology, and then we're going to introduce our featured reader for the night. And that person from the anthology that we'll be hearing from next is Angeline Nia.
Okay, so if you have your anthology with you and you don't mind making marks, it's on page 46, and it should actually say contorted and not contortioned, which doesn't make sense. So pretend it says contorted, which I made a mark on the paper that I printed it out, but never went back into the computer file and changed. So I know that contortioned is wrong, okay? Just for future reference. So this poem's called Remembering Ophelia. I stood with one foot on dry land, the other tasting the water, where they say a good girl had drowned, bound cruelly to the man-made weight, despair. Through osmosis or some other equally magical process, the liquid memories became tame and flowed through my 5 toes and senses. Time danced and contorted itself until past overlaid present, and I could see the girl walk by my side, solid as convictions and trust. Freshly cut flowers on the bank atoned for the ones she carried until they left her arms and wound round her body, gently twisting like truth. They fell as she waded, then sank into the darkness of the brook. Although I knew she was not there, care stretched out my hand as though it could help. I imagined that her sorrow conquered its instinct for survival, so that when gravity called her closer to Earth's persuasive core, she smiled. The sun refused not to shine, and wind rippled the water's surface where whispers lingered in surround sound as flesh resolved water and goodbye. Okay, and so I usually like to bring a poem from another poet, because then you get to listen to good poetry, which is not what I have brought. So, well, everyone else is good. I mean, just not my stuff. So, this is from another poet who died recently, and his name is Juan Gelman. Or it might be Gelman, because I think his parents were actually not from there. But anyways, he's an Argentinian poet, was an Argentinian poet, and he has a really sad story if you want to look it up. His family was taken during the time of los desaparecidos. So there was a time in Argentina where the government pretty much took people and families never saw them again. Don't know what happened to them. Well, okay, we're assuming they were killed, but, you know, they never see them again. And this poem by him is called Epitafio. So I'm going to read it first in the original Spanish and then give my translation, which may or may not be correct because there are some words that have multiple meanings. So, Epitafio. Un pájaro vivía en mí. Una flor viajaba en mi sangre. Mi corazón era un violín. Quise o no quise, pero a veces me quisieron. También a mí me alegraban la primavera, las manos juntas, lo feliz. Digo que el hombre debe serlo. Aquí yace un pájaro, una flor, un violín. And the translation, epitaph. A bird lived in me, a flower traveled in my blood. My heart was a violin. I wanted or I refused, but at times they wanted me. Also, to me, they made happy the spring, hands together, that which is happy. I say that man should be it. Happy being it. Here lies a bird, a flower, a violin.
Thank you. I just have to say how much I enjoy your work. Oh, yeah. And I want you to know that. We are so lucky tonight. It's just a privilege to see all of you here and to help us celebrate Ghost Town Volume 2. But we have, in the middle of this open mic, a fabulous feature reader for you. I want to read all of her bio that's on the press release. But first, I just have to tell you, those of you who know how crazy I am about crows and about birds, that this has to be one of the best covers I have ever seen. Isn't that gorgeous? It is lovely, absolutely stunning. And she has some prints also. I peeked over there and saw there are some prints of this cover available. So her book will be available this evening, and when we have the break would be a perfect time for you to pick this up, and also you can convince her maybe to sign it for you. But I want to read her bio because it's really fascinating. It fascinated me, and I really enjoy her work. So here we go. Gwen Morgan, winner of the 2013, not 213, you aren't that old. The 2013 Wild Earth Poetry Prize for her first collection, this one, Crow Feathers, Red Ochre, and Green Tea. Offers richly textured poetic renderings of natural landscapes and emotional nuances in response to those landscapes. She weaves concerns for global warming, social inequities, and healthcare, together with images of birds, plants, animals, breath, evoking our interconnectedness with all sentient beings and the spiritual universe. And I just love that. There is in these poems a deep sense of care for and rootedness in the natural world. Gwen learned the names of birds and wildflowers and inherited paintbrushes and boxes from her grandmothers. With an MFA in creative writing from Goddard College and a Master's in Divinity from San Francisco Theological Seminary, she has been a recipient of writing residencies at Artsmith, Caldera, and Soapstone. That's an honor itself. Morgan's poems appear in Calyx, Dakota, Calliope, Kinesis, Manzanita Quarterly, Mudfish, Tributaries, Journal of Nature Writing, Voice Catcher, Written River, among other anthologies and literary journals. She's a member of the Unitarian Universalist Society for Community Ministries and is a board-certified chaplain with the Association of Professional Chaplains. She serves as the manager of interfaith spiritual care at Legacy Salmon Creek Medical Center, and I really want to know more about that when we have a chance. That sounds fascinating. Gwen and Judy Rose, her partner, share their home with Abby Skye, a rescued Pembroke Corgi. Abby's not here tonight? No. Oh, she couldn't come and be here as part of this reading, but Judy is here, and Judy, who is a musician, will be offering Native American flute during the reading. So this is very exciting. Please help me welcome Gwendolyn Morgan.